Hey, this is a video for 9.4, Increase in Greenhouse Gases. So go ahead and check out the overview and set up your guided notes. So we will see sea levels rise, and we have seen it already in our lifetimes, but we will see continued sea level rise for two reasons. Number one, we will have melting ice. And those are the polar ice sheets, and the polar ice sheets that are on terrestrial surfaces. So these are polar ice sheets, not sea ice, not icebergs. And it is basically like the glaciers that are found in Greenland and Antarctica. So most of Antarctica is covered by glaciers that are like a mile thick. And once that melts, it's going to increase the sea level. However, there's also thermal expansion. And that means that when molecules get warmer, especially molecules of water, they will be moving apart. And that's going to cause the volume of the Earth's oceans to rise. So this is a positive feedback loop. We have melting polar sea ice. Then what happens is you will expose these ocean waters. And this happens because these ocean waters have the lowest albedo of any surface on the planet. And what happens then is we will be warming those ocean waters, especially in Arctic regions where we have sea ice. And that's going to cause more polar ice to melt, warming up or exposing more ocean waters, warming up more ocean waters, and then melting even more polar ice. Because this can continue indefinitely, this is a positive feedback loop. However, it won't continue indefinitely because eventually we will run out of polar ice if this doesn't get solved. We have seen over the last 30 years, we have seen sea levels rise. Just the global sea levels have risen, several centimeters. But also we've been noticing in the last 20 years that we've seen thermal expansion that has increased the amount of sea level rise. In addition to thermal expansion, we've also had added water, and that's from the ice caps, especially from the Antarctic glaciers, the Antarctic ice sheets, and the glaciers in Greenland. Now, when we put those together, that is explaining our increase in sea level rising. So what are some impacts? Well, for starters, we are going to have coastal flooding. And when we pair this with the destruction of the mangrove forest, we will have a lot of erosion, beach erosion. We may have a lot of islands that are completely swallowed up by the rising sea levels. But we'll also have loss of these species that live in these coastal areas. That can lead to biodiversity loss. The hurricanes will be far more intense, and that's going to damage both humans, but it could also have environmental damages, any environmental damage that is associated with hurricanes, like higher rates of erosion, but you could also have contamination of different areas and altering of different ecosystems. And the flood intensity will be much higher, and that can damage a lot of property values. And in coastal areas, especially where you have water that is being withdrawn from wells in the aquifers, you can have saltwater intrusion, which will affect agriculture. And finally, because certain areas are going to be not suitable for human habitation, there's going to be a huge number of climate refugees. People from tropical areas may move farther north. So all of the issues that we have with immigration in this country will be exacerbated because we will have a lot of climate refugees coming from tropical areas. Now, in addition, we will have disease vectors will be able to relocate because right now, a lot of these mosquitoes, remember that mosquitoes are a major vector for a lot of diseases. And currently, they're kind of centered around the tropics where they are found year round. But as temperatures increase, these disease vectors, these mosquitoes may relocate or may expand their territory farther north. They can also go farther south, but there's a lot more land in the northern hemisphere. So, within the next 50 years, we could see, cases of malaria spiking in areas like Russia or Canada. We will also see population shifts. So right now you see there's very high suitability for population in these temperate zones. It's not as suitable in these tropical zones. So now, as you notice, in 50 years, people may be relocating to like Northern Europe, parts of Southern Canada, parts of Russia. And that is meaning that we will have a much bigger difference in population shifts. So we may have a lot of people relocating, have major changes in global populations as a result of these temperature changes, as a result of the impacts of climate change. So what I would like you to do is respond to this check for understanding. And for FRQ practice, describe the fluctuations in the Keeling curve taken at Mauna Loa Observatory. You might have to look back in previous lessons. I hope that this video is informative. I thank you for your attention, and I will see you soon.